In this short video, I'm going to show you how to buff off the India ink from your copper Repousse. So if you used India ink on your copper last class, it's now dry. You're going to want to gently buff with the steel wool working on top of newspaper because you're going to see a lot of fine dust coming off and you want that all to get collected in the newspaper. You're only removing the black ink from the raised surfaces, so don't press too hard. If you press really hard, you're going to take off all of the black. As you can see, some areas here are left with no black, and that kind of defeats the purpose of using the India ink. So press lightly if you notice too much is coming off, and that should help the black ink stay in the cracks and crevices. Remember, you want the black ink to stay in the concave areas. You're only taking the black ink off of the raised or convex areas. Now, if you did not use the India ink last class, you should not use it today because it takes too long to dry. Instead, you will put black Sharpie on top of your copper Repousse. And I'm going to show you that the end result look is the same whether you use the ink or the Sharpie. Look at this example here by a student. I'm going to just gently buff it with the steel wool, and we'll see that the Sharpie comes off from the raised areas and stays in the concave areas. Here you can see both side by side. As you can see, the end result look is about the same with either the India ink or the Sharpie. Now, when you're using Sharpie, make sure that you reach all edges of the space inside of your mat. Now that means you might have to add some Sharpie to your masking tape border. That's fine. Same goes for if you used India ink and you go to mat your project and you find that there's some masking tape showing. Just use a Sharpie and go over the tape, and this will make that space black. It'll make it fit right in, and again, give your piece unity because that is the principle of design that we're really focusing on here. Now watch as I quickly show you just how to start adding Sharpie to your copper. Since we're going to be buffing the Sharpie off from the raised areas, you want to focus the Sharpie in the crevices. So actually press it into those cracks and those spaces that you pushed your tool into the metal. The raised areas are again what you're going to buff off. But you do want to cover the entire copper sheet, so don't leave any scratchy, scribbly marks. You shouldn't see spaces that are missed. Cover the entire piece with Sharpie. Then let the Sharpie dry. It will dry quickly, but it's going to take maybe 1 minute total to completely air dry. Touch it to make sure that it's dry. It should not come off onto your finger. When it's dry, buff with the steel wool. Again, working on top of newspaper, and just watch what you're doing. And if you start to find that too much of the black ink is coming off from those cracks and crevices, then move on. That area would be finished. Here again, it's a side-by-side look at two pieces, one with Sharpie, one with India ink. Again, you can see they both look about the same. All right, when you're all finished buffing with the steel wool, if the steel wool pieces are still usable, return them to your teacher, but that newspaper can be thrown away with all the dust inside. And then you are ready to securely tape your copper piece to your mat and begin working on extending your design onto the mat using colored pencils.